episode of Battle Talks. This week we have Candace Helton. Okay, I want to make sure I got your last name right.
You get it right. You may say Hilton, John.
But she's doing big things up in DC. I want to let her tell you about herself and who she is. So Candace, kick it off about who you are and what you do.
Thanks, Lakevius. My name is, like you said, Candace Helton. I currently live in Maryland, but I've been in DC for like the last 10 or so years. I work at the State Department. I'm a public affairs specialist. So that basically entails a number of different things. So if you are familiar with public relations, I basically do that for the government. And I conduct a lot of outreach and engagements for domestic audiences. So I focus primarily on academia. So I actually have a great job right now with doing domestic outreach to HBCUs, which is near and dear to me, which is where I met Lakevius. We both went to Winston-Salem State. So I have a very fun job of connecting foreign policy to the American people and students. So that's kind of my energy right now. And I also am involved in a lot of nonprofit organizations that keeps me also pretty busy. So I'm in a number of those, and I'm also in a sorority. So I'm in Delta Sigma Theta.
Yeah, we're gonna get to all that too. But we appreciate you for the intro. I know you got a lot going on. So I just want to kick off about like your upbringing and kind of how things started out for you. So, do preliminary questions people may not know. And I just found out that you're from Louisiana. I never knew that. I would have never guessed that. And then you moved to DC later on. So kind of talk about how that was and how that came about.
Yeah, so people it's interesting. Nobody ever can imagine that I'm from the deep South. So I grew up in Grambling, Louisiana. Folks who are familiar with Grambling State, another historically Black college. It's a small college town, so people thought Winston was small. I was like, nah, I can get even smaller. Grambling State is a small community. I can't even call it a town. It's really community. And what I wrote to Lakevius before this interview is that really kind of set a foundation, and it's kind of why I'm so passionate about what I do now. And kind of the way I am is because of my community. I think your community really does have a strong impact on who you are going to be as a person, especially if you are from rural areas. Like Grambling can sometimes be rural. So I spent the first 13 years of my life. I actually was born in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Another fun fact about me.
Oh, wow, okay.
So all over. So my family moved to, I'm not even a military brat. That's another thing. My family moved to Louisiana when I was 3. So we moved from Louisiana when I was the year of my 16th birthday. So as you can imagine, moving from the South all the way to what at the time felt like a big city, which really is not in hindsight. But so I moved from Louisiana to DC and found out about Winston-Salem State, where I got my undergraduate degree. And after Winston, I got my master's also in DC at Trinity Washington University in strategic communications and public relations.
So I know you spoke about your family. You're not a military kid. So did you grow up with, both parents, single parent? I always kind of ask that, especially like in the Black community, to see like the differences and then how common or, not common that happens. So what was that like for you, or what was, who was in your household?
So I am a pastor's daughter, and my dad, in his career, just got opportunities to grow in his ministry and just in his faith. So his church has just grown. So I mentioned that my older sister and I were born in Bridgeport, Connecticut. That was his very first, second church actually. And then moved us to Louisiana, where it was a bigger church, but it's not the churches we see today, these mega churches. I'm thinking backwood Baptist type churches. I didn't grow up in that type of environment, like not on no Greenleaf type stuff.
Right.
I grew up with my mom and my dad. My mom is in tech, and my dad's in religion and theology and things like that. So I'm the middle of three sisters. So 2 sisters, excuse me. I'm the middle child, so I exude all of the middle child stereotypes. If it ain't about me, I will throw a fit in the family because I'm that bad.
Yeah, that's that the middle. I don't know if it's the worst, the middle child or the youngest child. Like y'all like neck and neck, and I'm the oldest, so I guess none of that. Like
nobody cares about y'all.
Exactly. I mean,
I'm the
I can't. Sometimes it depends. Like my grandparents, like I was the first grandchild for my grandma, so I get some little, a little bit. But so yeah, I didn't know that. So I gotta ask this: is your mom in tech? I'm in tech. Do you know what she does specifically?
Yes, she is. I want to get her title. I don't want to mess up her title, but basically she works in the IT department. She troubleshoots the issues when there's a ticket. She does a lot of ticketing and things like that. So she is literally, technically, I want to say it's an engineer. Engineer is definitely in her title. And that's the woman. She got 3 degrees and still out here collecting certs. I'm just like, can you sit down?
Yeah, the tech space is different. Yeah, cert space is different for like tech. Like that's like equivalent to some degrees, like depending on the cert you get. So I understand that. I'm working on one now, so I understand how she feel. So yeah, so you moved from you moved to Washington D.C. and then you start, like you said, you found out about Winston-Salem, which was so weird to me. Like I'm from North Carolina, and to see the amount of people that's not from North Carolina come to Winston, I'm like, yo, how do you find this small place? You know what I mean? Well, for me, it was actually kind of big. I'm from a small town too, so I know you have guys like a lot of like HBCU events like up north. I know like in New York, New Jersey, and DC, they have a lot of stuff like that. So how you end up finding it?
So it's crazy because, Lakevius and I came in at the same time, so we're in the same class. So 2010, yeah. So I wasn't planning on going to Winston. I was going to go to Virginia State and be a woo-woo. I had all the plans. I had the emotion. I was going to be there. I was going to be 2 hours from DC. I had the whole game plan. God stepped in and said, girl, please. So yeah, thank God. And, kind of talking about what you said, like, again, I'm in the outreach space, so I'm always pushing out priorities for my organization, my agency, excuse me, and the organizations that I'm a part of. And that's actually how I found out about Winston, because of outreach. The university pulled up at my high school, Woodrow Wilson in DC, and they had a bus. The buses, like the buses that we saw on campus, the shuttles. I'm sorry, the shuttle buses.
Oh yeah, shuttle buses.
They pulled up in that to my high school, because Winston, I will say this, the admissions office, they don't be playing. They do not play. I will say they do a good job, in my opinion, personally. They do a good job of recruiting, non-residents of North Carolina students. So they pulled up to my high school. That's how I found out about them. I got accepted on the spot. I don't know what it was. I didn't even want to go in as a mass comm major. I went in as MIS, and I kind of regret it. But literally changed my major because I didn't want to take math, which is ridiculous. But it's not my strong suit. But God works. I did what I needed to do. But yeah, that's how I got to Winston, because of just somebody conducting some really strong, heavy outreach and informing communities that are not familiar about Winston-Salem. It's a small town, in my opinion, again. But that's how I found out about Winston-Salem State.
I did not know you was an MIS major at first. That's what I finished in. So I can't disrespect it like that. But I understand. I started out computer science, so I know I left. That was too much. So I understand. But yeah, they did a lot of it too. I know, like in North Carolina, they do a lot of stuff here. Like it's like a free application day. I forgot what it's called specifically, but they do it in North Carolina. I'm sure they probably do it other places too, and they do it like on the spot admissions. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was big for like small town. Tarboro, which is probably like 15,000. So you come there, you get these kids, and originally I had in my list was Norfolk State and Central, North Carolina Central. Those are my two. My best friend was going to Central, so I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to Central. But I wanted to play football, so Winston came on the table. So now I definitely that like admissions on like the first day or like that, early admission stuff was pretty good. Like to see other kids, especially like Black kids, getting to schools that probably wouldn't have thought about it as much, you know what I mean, or even knew about the school until then. But yeah, you go in there and you switch over to mass comm. So how is your mindset like going in as mass comm out of MIS?
I don't even think I took any of the prereqs, because we had to take gen ed courses that first semester. So we're all in the same classes, math, English, whatever. And I don't know. I think when I had to meet with my advisor and I saw them courses, I just got shook. I said, I'm not taking this. I am not taking this. And it made me think. I'm like, why didn't nobody tell me? I didn't look at the curriculum, which it made me really think about my career. All the way back then, I was thinking, okay, like, Candace, what do you really want to do? I knew I didn't want to go into specifically journalism. I knew I wasn't trying to be in a newsroom But I'm gonna figure something out. And, I think it's really important for outreach. Again, people need to start doing research early on. I don't know if they're really stressing that upon students early on, because some people don't know what they want to do when they first go off to college. And it's real. But I didn't really know until, I would say, like junior, senior year for us, that I was like, okay, I know I want to go into PR. And that's why I had to start looking for PR courses in the curriculum. And they ironically were in the business school. Not that that was crazy. Anyway, I found my way, and I'm still connected to people at Winston, because they wrote my recommendation letters for my job I got now. And I consider them mentors. I think everybody should have their own board of directors in life, where you're at the head of the table, but these people who are sitting across from you in this boardroom are helping you navigate through all your seasons. So I have somebody for all my seasons, for different chapters of my life. If they serve their time, they still want to advise me. So I think that's real, that everybody should just have their own board of directors, where it's like a selection of 10 people in various walks of life, maybe, that can help you just navigate space and time, because it's invaluable. You don't get it back. And that's in anything, not just professionally. I'm talking romantic life.
No, for sure. For sure. I like, that's a big thing for me. Like, I don't know, I always gravitate towards mentors, like in the space. And I kind of figured it out, like from my upbringing. Like I said, like I talked to you about that earlier. That's kind of how I figure out like how people get morals and values. So for me, mentorship came from sports, for one. Like, I always had coaches on the field, off the field, or stuff like that. So they gave me insight to, a lot of, like, especially black men, gave me insight to life in particular. And then as I got into my career, I started getting like business mentors, like, or personal mentors, and just giving me game on, like, different speech classes, or, you know what I mean, checking out different like restaurant, like anything, like you said, like it literally could be anything. But like that really gives you a space, like you said, this can help you get into, get your first home, going back to school, get your master's degree, like different jobs to look at. Like, they have like the insight, and they've been around, so they know, what to kind of give you some insight about that you may not have thought about before. So yeah, I definitely got to take that board of directors. I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that from you. So you do that, and you was active on campus. I want to put that out there. You were definitely active on campus. So what did you do on campus?
How much time we got? Okay. Okay, so I was president of the campus activities board. I actually did a little mini interview with their current leadership last night on IG. So that was really rewarding, really nice. I was in the Campus Life Marketing Committee, which is like a sister organization to the Campus Activities Board.
Okay.
I was in NAACP chapter. There was an organization called My Natural at one point on campus that I was a part of, the Mass Comm Club. And then our senior year, this is not a campus organization, but that's where I discovered the Urban League, and I joined the Winston-Salem Urban League Young Professionals chapter, which led me to the current chapter that I'm part of now here in DC. So those are all my organizations that I was a part of, and a lot of them birthed partnerships and networks at other universities, like at Wake Forest, not at HBCU, but we did a lot of programming with them for the Martin Luther King Day initiative that the university always does every year. So
yeah, I was a great part of those. I used to love seeing those. That we like the walks. We did a couple walks and different like, different things went on. Like, I would always go and be a part of those. So yeah, I remember being a part of that stuff. So yeah, y'all did work away for us. I didn't mean to cut you off, but you said it was rewarding. And what else you were about to say?
Oh no, I was gonna say it's very rewarding, and I didn't think about it until people asked me, like, "Oh, what did you do in undergrad?" And when I tell them, they're like, "Oh, that makes so much sense of like why you do what you do now." And I don't want to get siloed and always do this work, because I think mass comm is a transferable skill. Every organization has a communications section or office, so should always have an industry to infiltrate. But going back to my foundation of college, a lot of the lessons I learned with leadership began out of Winston, with just being in leadership capacities. And I don't take them for granted, because I think back, I'm like, okay, what are some mistakes that I made either at Winston, in my last role, in my job, just always trying to be in the business of bettering myself.
Got you. So you begin an internship for the job you're in now. or the role you're in now, similar to that?
Yeah, so I started it's kind of weird. I had an internship technically when I was in high school at the agency I'm at now. And the way it works is like after the semester is over, they can technically keep you on the books and call you back, which they just did for like 6 years in a row. So the whole time I was at Winston, every summer I would come back and work in a specific office, which is outreach and recruitment. And I was technically considered a pathways intern, which was under the Obama administration, which basically guarantees students non-competitive status, meaning basically I don't have to apply anywhere. If somebody wants to hire me, it's just a simple, like, let's have a conversation, and I just skip the application process. So that's how I got into my career now.
Got you. So and were you initially going for that? Like mass comm, like, all right, I'm a mass comm major, like, oh, I'm going to work for the government. Like,
Nope.
This is what I want to do. That's not what it was.
Nope. I was going to autumn career fairs like everybody else was and on campus. I just didn't know. And I was going to go home and do my internship because they told me to come back that summer, 2015. Yeah. And I was just going to figure it out. I was applying for random comms jobs. I didn't do my research enough. And that's one of my biggest regrets at Winston is not doing an internship at least once a semester, probably starting our junior year, like that first semester. I should have been doing an internship because they didn't stress it upon us in the curriculum for mass comm. And I don't think they're even stressing it now. And that's why I keep fussing at anybody I talk to at Winston. Y'all need to either embed it in the curriculum. So it's a requirement to graduate for our class. They took it away. So we didn't have to do an internship to graduate, which was the dumbest thing they could have done. Yep. And that's why when I have my programs at my job, I tell them, like, I know y'all want to get paid. But please understand, if that resume not looking tight, I see them all the time. And I'm sorry, some of these folks who don't look like us, it's stacked. It's stacked. And I feel like there's so many disparities and resource gaps of information that our people, especially our HBCU communities, aren't really taking advantage of. And we're not being as competitive in the workforce because we're not encouraging our young people to do it. It's not even a formal internship. I told somebody to go you can shadow me for 6 weeks for 1 day a week and put it on your resume. Just put it there. And that's it. Like, they're not gonna question you. They can call me, like, just be creative about it so we can start getting our people in the door, because that's really all I want.
That's huge, because MIS was the same. I didn't need an internship to graduate. So I'm like, cool. And at the time I'm playing football. So I'm like, summertime, I'm working out.
Prioritizing other stuff.
That's it. I'm like, I'm chilling or I'm working out or whatever. But like you said, I saw people in my program that didn't have those priorities and decided to like get creative or just go for an internship anyway. And when they left, they already had jobs before they left because they already worked in these systems. They already knew people there. They knew the tools. They knew the what it took to take these jobs. So not that they didn't go to those companies, they had some type of work experience on their resume to pass them on to another company. So like me coming out, I was like, man, what am I going to do? And like most jobs, they want some type of experience, some type of, how to work these tools or skills that you don't have because you just left undergrad. And that's the same thing I kind of preach those like to the kids. So I'm a mentor, a board chair up here in Durham for Charles Hamilton Houston Foundation. And it's like, these kids young, but like we're preparing them early. Like they're like in middle school. We're talking about like internship stuff early, like, they to get it now because, they'll have that advantage when they leave. Even high school, they'll already have an advantage, or like you said, and can start then and work, throughout college. But that is huge. I think a lot of people don't really realize, and that's on us. I feel like that's on us. Like we've already finished. We kind of got to pass it along, but like you said, we can still get that stuff mandated in the curriculum for the schools and different programs because it's required at this point.
Yeah, and you mentioned something that just struck me. Like, at such a young age in middle school, it's not even that the students, the kids, the young people are not taking advantage of the internships at a young age. I feel like they're also not realizing that the opportunity is to help get you in a mindset, right? Like, you need to go ahead and get yourself in a mindset to start conditioning yourself that this is, we don't want to push adulthood on you so young, but I didn't really realize the things I should have known about just basic life, just like how to work a system or just how to be in a professional setting. Like it's wild to me. And I get you can do mock interviews. I try to get creative as I don't know what at my job. I said, look, y'all want to talk to Black kids because everybody want to be all DE and I focused right now. all right, you gonna talk to them, all right, because we're gonna give you some strategic ways to get in the classroom or go beyond the classroom so we can like have some real impact. Okay, y'all want to talk to them? Let's put a mentorship program together. So I'm excited to kick that off just for HBCUs because they need to see a face that looks like them so it can be really attainable. Because a lot of times we throwing up all these initiatives and things like that for our organizations, and that's cute, but when we get some real like tangible,
Nitty-gritty, yeah.
get some real stuff going so we can connect with these kids, like, because it's not going to happen. We're not going to change anything if we don't, like you said, be the change.
Yeah, we got to break that cycle of
Mm-hmm.
whatever it was before. Like whatever it is, I don't care what it is, we got to break it. Like even from that, like I tell the kids now, like we talk about like lifestyle they want to live. Like we did this program one Saturday in Durham where we had the kids go through like what kind of car they want to drive, what kind of house they want to be in, and like what
Mm-hmm.
things they like, or
Yeah.
like, all right, cool. So we get them like, all right, what kind of job you want to take, or what kind of job you want to have, degree, all of that. So we made them go to base like a whole phase in middle school. Like this, nobody did this for me. So like kids, want to be a certain job but want to get this amount of pay. It was like that's not gonna work out for you. Like you see the difference in pay, and you know what I'm saying, like real life scenarios of what's going on. So that for them is like super like awakening because they don't even have a clue or didn't have a clue like about what life is or taxes and buying house or what I'm saying, like equity. They don't like we didn't. What is that? Like that didn't matter to us or certain cars, stuff like that. But like that, like I said, breaking that cycle. But I want to move off of that to like your job role now.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of what you do on a day-to-day basis, just to kind of give people some insight into your role, which could be completely different, but every day, but.
Dokie. So technically I work for the government, so I can only say, but so I can only
Right.
when I leave, I don't do anything that's classified. But I still have to represent my agency. So these are my views and my views alone. So I'm gonna say that, preface it in case they hit the streets. So again, I work in a public affairs capacity. So on a day-to-day basis, I am doing research to find who in the US needs to be informed about the State Department and our US foreign policy priorities. So basically all over the world, for folks who are not familiar with the Department of State, which is real because it's outside of my own bubble, the DMV. Folks don't know about just the State Department. They don't know about international affairs, and that's fine. So it's international relations. So think global comms or global communications. And on a daily basis, I'm trying to research key audiences that my counterparts at the department, subject matter experts, policy experts, can go out and, talk to the Lakeviuses of the world and inform them about, specific topics or specific policy priorities. So I mainly work with students. So I have a great program called Foreign Policy Classroom, where I meet like once a week and I put together these briefings on Zoom now, unfortunately. And just inform students that are either studying these issues or they might have a connection to it. So right now we're focusing on Diaspora Outreach. So pretty much every month of the year is a heritage month. So next month is Arab American Heritage Month. So we're going to be tackling and addressing issues that are in the Near Eastern affairs around two of these communities of color. So they are informed about what's going on in that region. I also, like I said, I host the HBCU Foreign Policy Conference, which is a huge honor because I work at the only agency that has a conference dedicated to HBCUs specifically for them. So that's another great opportunity. I can go on and on the KV, so you might have to shut me up. And I also manage a program called the Foreign Affairs Campus Coordinators, which is for academic outreach, where basically former interns at my agency, they can go back to their institutions of higher learning and represent the State Department by hosting events, kind of just doing some work for us. Okay. But it's a rewarding job. I do love it because I can make it what I want. It's a very creative job. So when we were in person, if I wanted to have a briefing that's like a workshop style, I set up the parameters and invite people around the department to come speak. So my whole platform was go beyond the podium, because folks are just so used to seeing white people talking at a podium. I don't like that. Can we get a little more? Can we get a little more touchy feely in a way that students really see what we do? So have them, observe a briefing or participate and watch our spokeswoman, who right now our deputy spokeswoman is an African American woman, a Howard grad. So definitely don't take my position for granted, because I get to elevate so many important topics, especially for minority communities right now at a very high level, where people are asking me, like, I want to go talk to, Black students. And I get to straight up tell them, I'm like, okay, well, why do you want to talk to these Black students? And because I don't believe in checking boxes. So if you're going to do this, we're going to do this the right way, the strategic way. You can go out and talk to these kids at Spelman, but if you have any Spelman grads in your bureau, I strongly recommend they come. So like, I get to have those difficult conversations, but anybody gonna tell me otherwise. So I do enjoy that.
Nah, but you have that authority, like you're in that position to make those calls. You know what I mean? And then that, like you said, we got a chance to make those differences in people's lives, or people's lives that don't even know the effect they can have on kids.
Exactly.
Without, a real purpose, like a strategic purpose in mind, rather than checking the box. Oh, I want to talk to these kids and diversify my program for whatever reason. That's a big thing that's going on right now, which is it can be a good thing for us if we take advantage, to get in some rooms and speak to some people that we probably normally wouldn't get to, who genuinely want to hear from us.
Yeah.
Not the ones that just want to check off a box and say, all right, we got this Black guy, we got this Black girl, cool.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, and I'm pretty sure you see that all the time. Like it's yeah, like it's crazy to see. But I mean, even in the tech space, like we have initiatives like, hey, let's, to me, like specifically, hey, do you know any Black people that will get in this engineering role? We have open coming up. Like we're looking for somebody specifically, minority, for this role. And I'm like, I mean, I can check around and see, like, why can't we just have like an open forum of, to everybody else without you kind of specifying? Like in my mind, I know what you're looking for. You know what I mean? Right. And like I said, this is my personal opinion, but that's just how it is. I mean, it's not obvious to see. Like working at my company, we have events when we were on campus, and just seeing the amount of people that look like me is very slim to none. But it comes with the territory. So you learn, you adapt, you grow. But I do want to say, like, from that space, like you've had the opportunity to see a lot, to be a part of a lot. What do you think has been probably the biggest obstacle you had to overcome? Not even in that role, just in your personal life as a Black woman. Everything that you have to go through in that space, from an undergrad, from a HBCU, in your department, everything like that. So, what's the biggest thing for you?
If I had to evaluate like all the seasons of my life, I think the seasons where I've been the most blessed, like 2015, that was a big blessing year. 2020 was a big blessing year. And I had to think about it, like when I do my self-reflection and evaluation, like what space was I in mentally where I received all those blessings in the midst of adversity, comparison to the ones that I was in darkness. And I think the way I overcame all those obstacles is the self-doubt is real, and imposter syndrome is real. And I can apply that to all aspects of my life, professionally and personally. So the way that I had to overcome those is by realizing my truest potential, honestly. And that's where I had to either just say, Candice, like there's so many reasons why you can have the odds against you, but if you just focus on the opportunities in front of you versus, yes, things are not always going to be peachy keen. They're not going to be great all the time, but in the roles in my job, not the one I have now, but in previous roles where I'm like stressed out and I don't know where the light of the tunnel is at the end of the journey, I'm like, okay, you are so capable of doing these things, and we can get biblical on them. Like God, he wouldn't put it on you if you couldn't carry it.
Yep.
And see it through. And like, just think about you on the other side. I had to always kind of envision that. Like in 2015, I got into grad school. I graduated from Winston. A lot of things were just aligning. Yep. And that's what I'm really big on right now is alignment. And sometimes you have to move your pieces on your chessboard a little bit so you can get in a good place of alignment so you can win and you can prosper. And that's why 2020 was another good blessing year, because I had to get out of my own way at time and really like lean on faith and on myself and trust that I could do these things. So all the times where I was dealing with a lot of conflict or just a lot of pain or troublesome at work, personal life, I really just had to sit down and be like, okay, Candace, who are you? And like really own that and walk in that and be confident in the fact that you are here for a purpose. Like I said last night to the students, I'm like, life is always going to be happening for you. It's never happening to you. The choices you make are going to be reflective in that. So like how you react to things is really important. And it can also be a reflection of how you feel about yourself too. So that's where I had to just, okay, Candace, like get it together. You can do this. You are very capable and able-bodied to do it. So that's kind of how I dealt with conflict and just adversity.
No, that's some big stuff. So I've had a few people on already, and it's crazy to see the similarities that people go through in certain situations of life, certain phases of life that they deal with, and like you said, how it kind of boils down to you. Like I just had someone on yesterday, a friend of mine who's the women's coach at Peace University here in North Carolina, and she just kind of said the same thing. Like she had to get to a point where she had to sit down and realize, like, all right, like who am I? Like where's my basis? Like and really focus on that to kind of hone in on where you want to be and what you're trying to get done versus the distractions of what you thought you were, like you said, impersonation and I guess imposing on what you thought you were or what you wanted to do. You know what I mean? So that's a big thing to kind of realize, and I think that's something that I think we all go through at some point, especially when you're growing up. You have that space where you're like, all right, all right, I'm 21. I'm gonna do whatever I is doing. Like I'm 20, I'm 18, I'm going to college. Like I said earlier, I'm going to school because my friend going there or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's the phase you go through, and then you kind of sit down and like you said, God will take you to stuff. You're like, all right, you know what? That probably won't for me. Like that probably won't, it won't a comfortable situation to be in because of, the repercussions you have to deal with after the fact, after you decide to do it, that you kind of already knew wasn't for you anyway, but you decided to do it because of feelings or peer pressures or whatever the case may be in that situation. So now you definitely have to get out your way a lot of times and make sure you hone in on what you really want to do and what you want to be in that space. So yeah, no, I definitely want to hear that from you. Like you're doing successful things. I always see you posting stuff of something you're doing in some program or some like activity you have going on or speaking in some engagement. I'm like, yo, I gotta get her on the podcast. So I definitely appreciate you having you on. Is there anything you like to give to, I guess, anyone like to be, aspiring to work for the federal government, not even in your space particularly, but anything in that space or, things that they can kind of work on and focus on to the kids that's, heading into college now or in college and, kind of got their sights on what their future could be like, what some advice you would give to them?
My best advice that I just have received from people that I have been interviewing for the leadership program that I'm in. The best piece of advice I've gotten so far is that you don't know what you don't know yet. So extend yourself to be in a kind of a headspace of continuous learning. So talk to people and put yourself out there. And I say that for all generations, because if I had just reached out to people in my field that I'm in now, I just feel like I would have walked in the door with a little more insight, a little more knowledge and confidence. So for students that are about to graduate, it's never too late to start anything, in my opinion. But I think if you are kind of curious about something, what's stopping you from sending an email or the olive branch to make an introduction for people who are already in their careers? I know a lot of people who, if you are happy, I know people who hop jobs like every 2 years, and it's like it's clockwork, and it's fine. But I know that they're getting a lot out of life because they're putting themselves out there. So I think my open-mindedness has been it's just my mind has just completely been more open to experiences over the last like year or two. Just because my curiosity is now peaked out because I'm learning things, and knowledge is so powerful. So my parting words are, you don't know what you don't know yet. So if you're curious about something, talk to somebody about it, read about it, watch a documentary about, just inform yourself, because you never know what you don't know yet. And if you could find something of interest to you, or like I asked Lakeithius about, his adjunct position, just teaching, because I'm going to be teaching in the fall and I don't know what I don't know yet. I might hate teaching, but I'm going to find out in the fall when I do it.
Yep.
Because I've always been curious about it. And it wasn't until I talked to this gentleman who's going to be my new boss who gave me that information. So like, I'm just really, really big on putting myself out there. Extrovert. So it helps. But for people who are timid, you know, baby steps. But I think it's rewarding in the long run, because you'll build your network, you know, you'll meet people. And I think you'll find a sense of comfort in just learning and gaining for your mental health.
Definitely some great tips. If anybody didn't catch all of that, shoot your shot. What you want to do, networking, connect with people regardless of, you know, what their title may look like or who they may be, because you never know what they could do for you or what they may, you know, give you, you know, in response to what you know, just give them a chance to reach out to them. Definitely I've had situations like that. People I wouldn't think would never respond to me or give me the time of day, but sat down and gave me opportunities or gave me information that was like priceless, you know what I mean? And propelled me through my career. So shoot your shot, continue to network, and you know, you don't know what you don't know, so can't stress about it. But definitely I want to appreciate you for having you on. Any socials you want to give people, connect with you, email, information, anything like that. And I'll put it up in the post once I, you know, release the doc on YouTube and stuff like that. So yeah.
You can find me at www.candicehope.com. It's CANDICEHOPE.com. It's my website because I'm all about branding, but all my socials are there where you can connect with me, because I'm big on expanding my network and connecting people to people, because that's what I do for a living. So
Gotcha.
Hit me up.
Yes, bro, we appreciate it again. Thanks for having you on, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right. See you.